Hi friends, in this video we are going to discuss changing of habits. First of all, we will discuss about introduction. Have you ever stopped to think about your habits or how they impact your daily life? Have you ever needed to change your habits because of a new environment like online learning or campus life? According to experts with psychology today, habits form when new behaviors become automatic and are enacted with minimum conscious awareness. That's because the behavioral patterns we repeat most often are literally etched into our neural pathways. Think about that last quote for a moment. Now think about habits you do automatically. For example, how many times a day you pick up your mobile phone to read text messages, wander on Facebook, or check your Instagram account? Did you actively think to yourself, it's time to check Instagram now, or did it just happen without much conscious effort? While some habits can be detrimental, such as wasting an hour on Twitter when you should be studying, others can be great to have around. Learning to brush your teeth when you were young helps you have good dental health when you are older. Another example is shutting off the lights when you leave the room. That habit helps save on your energy bill. In this handout, we are going to provide an overview of strategies that can help you better understand habits formation and how to create and maintain beneficial habits. Along the way, we are going to provide some activities that can help you start putting these strategies into practice. Understanding habit formation in the power of habit. Date 2012 explains that MIT research discovered a three-step neurological pattern that forms the core of every habit. The first step is cue. It is a trigger that tells your brain to go into automatic mode and prompts the behavior to unfold. The second step is routine, which is the behavior itself and action you take. The last step is reward. It helps your brain determine if a particular habit loop is worth remembering or not. Generally, habits have immediate or latent rewards. Habits with immediate rewards are easier to pick up and condition, whereas those with delayed rewards are more difficult to commit to and maintain. Think about how easy it is to check your iPhone compared to exercising more. Let's use the Instagram example to explain further how the habit loop works. Cue. Your cell phone receives a push notification that someone likes or commented on one of your photos. The notification serves as a cue that tells you to check your account. Routine. This is the actual behavior. When you receive the push notification, you automatically check your Instagram account. Reward. This is the benefit you gain from doing the behavior. Finding out who likes to commented on one of your photos. Recall that the award helps the brain figure out if this particular loop is worth remembering for the future. Because some habits are beneficial, let's take a closer look at the example of turning out the light. Routine. The actual behavior of turning out the light reward a lower utility bill and better overall home energy budget. Changing the habit loop. Now that you have an understanding of how habits form, let's turn attention to changing them. Consider the following scenario. Every day after class, you go to Starbucks to hang out with friends instead of going to the library to study. You know that you need to spend a couple hours each day studying, but socializing with friends makes you happy. Your goal is Implement a routine that accounts for more study time and yields the same happy feelings of hanging out with friends. But how might you do that? One way would be to convince your friends to meet in the library and spend a couple of hours studying together. Afterward, you you could treat yourself at Starbucks. Another routine would be to study on your own and then meet your friends at Starbucks. In either case, you replace a negative routine going to Starbucks before studying with a healthier one studying before going to Starbucks. By changing these routines, you keep the reward of socializing with your friends while gaining new ones, earning better grades. By changing your routine, you increase your chances of earning multiple rewards. Let's plug this new routine into the habit loop to see how it works. The time your class ends tells your brain which habit to employ. If you want to be extra ambitious, you could create a calendar notification on your computer or mobile device. Routine: studying after class with friends or alone. Reward: socializing with friends at Starbucks after studying, earning better grades. Putting what we know into practice. The next step is to think about a habit you want to change. That begins by first describing the habit. Below are a few questions to help get you started. They were developed by Claiborne and Pedrick, 2001, authors of the Habit Change Workbook. Identify a habit you would like to change. When did the habit begin, or when do you first remember doing it? Has the habit changed over time? If so, describe the changes that you have noticed. When do you typically engage in the habitual behavior, day and time? Do you engage in the habit in a specific location? What else is usually happening in your life when the habit occurs? Does your behavior affect other people or facets of your life? What does the habit do for you? How happy or unhappy are you as a result of your habits, or what are the rewards? It is important to note that telling yourself there is a reward is not enough for a habit to stick. According to Duhigg, one way to get a habit to stick is to repeat it. In other words, repetition is important if you want your brain to crave the reward. He notes that countless studies have shown that a cue and a reward on their own are not enough for a few habits to last. Only when your brain starts expecting the reward, craving the endorphins or sense of accomplishment, will you become automatic. Anticipating pitfalls. In a 2-year study that examines the rate of self-change attempts of New Year's resolvers, Norcross and Wangerelli, 1988, note that 77% of resolution makers maintained pledges for 1 week. However, only 19% of them kept their resolutions after 2 years. If this statistic is indicative of habits in general, at least 8 times out of 10, you are more likely to fall back into your old habits and patterns than you are to stick with a new behavior. So the question is, how do you make new habits stick when the odds are not in your favor? You learned that repetition is an important factor, but that is only one piece of the puzzle. Experts agree that maintaining healthy habits require you to anticipate pitfalls. Listed below are a few common mistakes that people make and some solutions that can help you navigate around these hazards and toward healthy behavior patterns. Pitfall 1, trying to change everything at one time. Solution, try to pick one thing and do it well. The following scenario is one you know too well. You start creating a new habit by first generating a list of things you hope to change or adopt. You tell yourself you have the willpower to succeed and you start off doing quite well. Then life responsibilities start piling up, or the persistent urge to indulge in old habits kick in. Before you know it, you feel overwhelmed and slowly revert to old behavior patterns. For example, if you suddenly shift to working from home when you are used to working in the library or going to a coffee shop, you might slip into old habits like watching TV or going to the kitchen to grab a snack. So, how do you avoid this overwhelmed feeling? In the Powerless, Leo Babauta 2009 suggests changing one habit at a time and focusing on doing it well before moving on the next one. He recommends creating a list of behavioral changes you want to make and then chunking them based on which one you want to accomplish first. The key is focusing on the one goal, and after it becomes a ritual, you move on to the next one. If you find yourself struggling to pick a habit from list of change, try asking the following questions. Which goal is going to pull the rest of your life in line? This is referred to as focusing on keystone habits. Focus on the small steps and take your time. What is the ripple effect of the keystone habits? In other words, what are the primary and secondary benefits of changing the habit? For example, exercising regularly leads to more energy and result is better sleep and focused study habits. Pitfall 2, trying to begin with a large habit. Solution, try to make the habit so easy you can't easily know. You know that starting a new habit is difficult, and when you try to achieve the result you want right away with max effort, you tend to increase that difficulty and set yourself up for failure. Take the goal of developing a habit of exercising regularly. You start off by working out an hour or two every day. After a week or so, you discover that devoting a large amount of time to a new exercise regimen when the body is not used to a workout routine is too difficult to maintain. Ultimately, you give up. Most everyone has experienced a situation like that before. According to habits experts, the goal should be to start small and easy, build up to 30 minutes and then to an hour or two. Babauta explains that actually doing the habit is much more important than how much you do. He says, if you want to exercise, it's more important that you actually do the exercise on a regular basis rather than doing enough to get a benefit right away. Sure, maybe you need 30 minutes of exercise to see some fitness improvements, but try doing 30 minutes a day for 2 weeks. See how far you get. If you have not been exercising regularly, then if you don't succeed, try 1-2 minutes a day. See how far you get there. If you can do 2 weeks of 1-2 minutes of exercise, you have a strong foundation for a habit. Add another week or two and the habit is almost ingrained. Once the habit is strong, you can add a few minutes here and there. Soon you will be doing 30 minutes on a regular basis, but you started out really small. Let's now put this situation in the context of establishing stronger study habits, using the example of studying before hanging out with friends at Starbucks.